are live, but we're also on tape. We are right down deep in the bowels of Lee's music. That's Chris Foulds, that's Chris the Tardy Bear. I'm Marty Hastings, and this is Kamloops last week. Holiday Bear Contest. We're almost done with this thing.
It's closing in on a few weeks now, yep. You go to a number of local businesses in Kamloops, and you patronize, you shop local as you should, and then you enter a contest, and you can win some of those bears, I think some of the bigger bears.
Yep. You were shopping local in a way last night. You went to a play. How was it?
Went to the Western Canada Theatre's first play of their season after the pandemic wiped out last year's season. This is the 2021-2022 season, and this is the remarkable play. It's Chelsea Hotel, the Songs of Leonard Cohen, and it's remarkable. It blew me away. It's a musical. It's all Leonard Cohen songs, and the cool thing is if you don't like Leonard Cohen, some people don't because he speaks like a poet, stuff like that, or if you've never heard of Leonard Cohen, or if you love Leonard Cohen like I do, you'll love this play because they sing all his songs in various genres, from rock and roll to traditional to country. And the talent, there's 3 females and 3 males. They do everything. They rotate they can play every instrument. They sing as they act.
We have a great show today. TRU Board of Governors meeting. That's what you want to talk about in Above the Folds.
Yep. It's an ongoing controversy at TRU. They had a meeting, and it was interrupted by protesters, and the meeting went into private, and no one can see it, and it seemed to have contravened their bylaws.
I think we secretly have a fantastic guest coming on today. Tugboat Tyrell Hamer Jackson. He plays for the Vancouver Warriors. He also works as a deckhand on a tugboat. You said you don't really understand his TikTok sensation.
No, I understand the log rolling and stuff like that, but he has this one segment that's about 10, 20 seconds long, and it's
Dire Straits, Money for Nothing. You love Dire Straits.
That's great, but I was waiting for more. I was waiting for more. Like, where's the plot? I mean, he's shirtless, he's got his sunglasses on, and he's going, "Let's go, boys!" And then you hear Dire Straits, and it looks like he may be driving the tugboat, or he may be just faking it. But I was waiting for him to make a neat turn or pull into alongside the logs. But
you can see that too. He does log running on his other ones. Wildlife too. I think maybe some whales, or we'll ask him what he sees.
I think it's really cool that you got this guy from Kamloops who's a pro lacrosse player.
Yeah.
And but he loves doing this job that is very unique, very beachcomber, very Relic and Nick.
You also want to talk right now real quick. It's an interesting anniversary today.
So these are like moments that you just never forget where you were. So today is one of those monumental moments. December 8th is today. So 41 years ago today, John Lennon was killed.
Mark David Chapman
killed him, and then read Catcher in the Rye and waited for the police to come. And he's still in prison, and he's a nut bar. But it's a pretty monumental day because John Lennon was and is an icon of music. It got me, I was 12 years old at the time, it got me more into the Beatles then because I knew who he was, and it got me more interested through a teacher.
I read today that at least 3 Beatles fans killed themselves when they found out that...
Yeah, well, I wouldn't doubt it. Just like when Kurt Cobain committed suicide, there was a number of suicides from young people too, including a group of Quebecois who drove to Langley, went into a storage locker, and carbon monoxide.
That's the generation before me, but even I know about that, and I've seen documentaries about it, and how much that affected people's lives is insane.
Yeah, and that's the impact some of these pop culture people have on people.
Gord Downey for me. Yeah. Gord Downey for me is a similar thing.
Well, there you go.
It hurt me really.
We would remember where we were. I do remember the moment I heard first that Gordon Downey had this incurable brain cancer.
And it wasn't a shock thing. We knew it was coming, Gord Downey.
No, his death. But I mean, when you first heard that, I mean, I remember exactly where I was and when I heard it. The interesting thing about John Lennon is that today marks 41 years since he died, which is exactly 1 year longer than he lived. He was 40. So it's an interesting switch there. But it's just one of those days, and I think people of a certain vintage will remember, as I do, exactly where you were, what were you doing, and how you found out about it. And that's what I wrote about in today's newsletter.
This show can't happen without our guy here, Herman Hothey at New Leaf Produce Market. We got a brand new commercial today. Their holiday stocking stuffer is here. Check this commercial out right now. Well, honey, it's time for the holidays at New Leaf Produce Market, and you know what that means, don't you? Because I do. The New Leaf Produce Market Holiday Stocking Stuffer Flyer, which means things like honey, right, honey? $6.98, and then you've got the hot chocolate bombs. Where are they? Right here. Oh, sorry, Hermos. That's why you should have worn a shirt, buddy. The hot chocolate bombs are $8, and look at his nephew back there shoveling. Workman-like. He knows what he's doing, and so does Herman. So does New Leaf Produce Market. Get that holiday stocking stuffer flyer and come on down while supplies still last. Before we hear from the last week clique, our KTW reporters, we owe Tim Schultz and KTW an apology, I think, for attacking our Christmas party without even knowing what it was going to be like.
Yeah, we just to clarify, we were not attacking our leader, Tim Schultz.
I was mildly attacking him.
I was attacking the consistently inconsistent health rules that Dr. Vonnie Henry and the rest are laying down for us. I know they mean well, but they are completely confusing, and a lot of them don't make any sense. Anyway, we thought we would go to this Christmas party, and it said no dancing, no mingling among tables, no fun of anything. And we thought it would be just a dud.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the best Christmas party dinners we've ever had. For this reason, we're all in this nice room at the Coast Kamloops Hotel. We did manage to mingle amongst these.
And people get called up when they win something. You can clap and you start. For me, it's like going back to high school a little bit. You can make your comments. You got Sexy Chris in the front row making his comments, and
we had Tara Holmes.
Yeah, she came in to rip all of us.
Loudest lady and a very funny lady in Kamloops. She surprised all of us. She used to work with us, and she's a stand-up comedian. Comedian. She's a stand-up comic, and then she came in, much to all of our surprises. So much for being reporters who can nose out the news. We had no idea she was coming.
Yeah.
And she had and she put on like a 20 or 30-minute bit set, and she got all of us. She was making fun of all of us. Mm-hmm. But it was great because we were in this one room. We didn't have to share it with other people like we normally do. There was no DJ or music, but we had this trivia. We won some prizes. Had a great meal. Had a lot of good drinks. Went back to your place.
Yeah.
That's where the dancing took place at Marty's palatial estate.
It went a little
in Saheli.
long, and the neighbors got an apology gift card from Tim Hortons. Because one of our staffers, I won't say who, and her hubby ended up staying on my couch. And I'll venture to guess it's the first time in a long time they've stayed over at anyone's house. It was funny to wake up and hear them kind of cackling on the couch. They had a hell of a time.
Well, I think I'm younger, and I was home earlier than that, so good for them.
Okay, let's move on to the last week clique right now.
This week, BC Housing is hosting information sessions online for residents about shelters planned in Kamloops. At the same time, a Kamloops City Councillor has penned a column for our paper this week talking about the polarized conversation in Kamloops related to caring for the marginalized in our community. Councillor Dieter Duty wrote, "We won't sweep the lives of many of our citizens under the rug. Sadly, some see this as enabling, but we see it as being human." This week, I actually spoke with 3 people who are staying at the shelter at Memorial Arena downtown, and it provides a bit of context as to some of the people who are staying there and the need that exists in our community. Often we hear about decisions, we hear about the people who are making those decisions, but we don't hear of the people who are impacted. And while homeowners in Westmount are impacted, also people who are accessing these shelters are impacted. And it's important to remember both sides of the conversation. And I would just encourage you to check out kamloopsthisweek.com or read the story in the paper to hear from some people who are accessing the shelters in our community.
In this week's paper, you'll find a story from me about a protest that disrupted a TRU Board of Governors meeting last week, and also a story on the ever-increasing house prices here in Kamloops and beyond. We also checked in with BC Assessment this week to find out what happens when an assessed property has been either damaged or destroyed by fire or flood, which we've unfortunately seen a lot of this year.
Today in the paper for me is a story about the 3 Nigerian students who were killed in 2019, in November of 2019. The driver who smashed into them, killing 3 out of the 4 people in the car, was sentenced last week on dangerous driving causing death charges. And he pleaded guilty, and this was after basically a long, drawn-out process here, basically a little more than 2 years to the day since the accident happened, and about a little over a year after he was charged. So he pleaded guilty in court and was sentenced to 3 years for the offenses there. And it was a joint submission on behalf of Crown and defense. They came together and decided what they thought was fair, and the judge agreed. Unfortunately, it's not what a lot of people online in the comment section agreed with. I saw a lot of outrage there. Some people probably thought there should have been more. Anytime you have a tragedy like this, it's understandable that people are thinking that way. But it's not the end of the story, because there's actually a civil liability lawsuit that's coming up. Two sets of parents out of the three individuals have filed civil suits against the driver and a few other defendants there in relation to the crash. And so that's something that we here at KTW are going to follow and see where that goes. That's all for me for now, you guys. Back to you in the studio.
Hey, Mike, is your mic up right now?
My mic is up.
You
yes.
have a teddy bear toss story, I think, don't you? Didn't you drive one of those vans?
I was honored a few years ago to use my Lee's Music van to do a teddy bear toss, and I brought my niece and nephew out, who were like 3 and 5 years old, and they remember it to this day. And I got out on the ice, but something was up with my van, because I actually had to take it out of drive and put it in neutral because the back wheels weren't stopping. It was just kept pushing me into the boards almost. All I could think of is Lee's Music stops the game because they take out the boards.
It's all about the kids. See, even your kids remember the teddy bear toss.
Yeah, they love to go and throw it over the glass, even before they put the nets up. That's how old I am. And it's December 10th at Sandman Center. They're not going to the hospital with these teddy bears?
They can't because of COVID reasons. So they're taking money, which they're going to buy their own bears to give to the kids.
No, that's
and the bears that do go in, they're going to disperse them to other organizations in the city. So
That's
it's a
great.
hybrid event.
Again, it makes no sense whatsoever. The coronavirus, they've known for almost a year now. It has less chance of existing on a surface than almost all viruses. Yet they're not going to bring them to the hospital.
It's Interior Health making the calls here.
There you go. It's dumb. It's stupid.
Okay, let's move on to Above the Folds. The floor is yours.
Okay, so this is the ongoing controversy at Thompson Rivers University. We broke the story. Jessica Wallace wrote the story about an investigation by the Board of Governors into two senior members of the administration, because there's between 11 and 13, maybe more, current and former employees who claim that they were subject to harassment of various forms from these two senior officials. The investigation is ongoing. The protest began with faculty and staff because they think the faculty, TRUFA, the union, the Faculty Association, and a lot of the students, there's 85 people at this first march, they believe that the two senior officials should be suspended with pay because of the seriousness of the accusations, the number of allegations and complaints. And TRUFA says that if it was one of the faculty members and they were subject to the same complaint, the university would have suspended them with pay, because that's the thing to do. The other thing is, one of the two officials who is accused of these allegations, Larry Phillips, his job is to look into complaints. So it really doesn't make any sense. So anyway, this is going on. We've had a couple of marches of protests at the university because a lot of people there don't think the university brass is doing the right thing. So on Friday, December 3rd, 5 days ago, the True Board of Governors held their regular monthly meeting, which we cover, and we covered through Zoom because of the COVID thing. So they were in the Brown Family House of Learning, in that meeting room there, the little theater. And it was interrupted 15 minutes in by some protesters. Very, very casual. This lady right here, Brett has the power to make things right. That's in reference to Brett Fairbairn, the president of True. Yeah. They stood up and they said, they said some things, and they just wanted to make it known that they're still upset. It wasn't violent. It wasn't really very vocal. It was very tepid. But anyway, the Board of Governors shut down the meeting just in case. And the screen went off, and we were covering it on Zoom. And that's all that happened. We found out later they resumed the meeting at 1:45 in private amongst themselves.
And what's the problem with that?
Well, that's contrary to the board's own bylaws. The bylaws clearly state that every board meeting has to be accessible by the public in person or video, unless there are issues there that have to go in camera, behind closed doors. But the agenda that day had not one issue that had to go behind closed doors. So they didn't bother even going back and letting the public view it.
And we've contacted them to get answers.
So we thought, okay, well, maybe, it's a technical glitch. So we called and said, okay, well, we want to get a copy of the recording so we can cover this. They're talking about international students. They're talking about taxpayer finances on a bunch of stuff. And they didn't tape it. There's no recording available. So they had a publicly, by their own bylaws, a meeting that should have been public. They went private. They didn't bother recording it. We don't know what happened. We have no idea what happened at this meeting. And they're talking about matters that are pertinent to us because we fund a large part of this university through our tax dollars. And it's a little frustrating. And but beyond that, of any institution in Kamloops, Thompson Rivers University is probably the one that is the hardest to talk to anybody there about anything.
And especially with this climate right now, they're mum on everything to do with this subject matter.
They're mum on everything, and they always cite privacy, but it's just that's.
Is it lawyers instructing them to not say anything?
I don't know who's instructing them. I just know that if we want to talk to Mayor Ken Christian about anything, he's always available, and he usually likes to text rather than talk. But we know how to get a hold of him. We talked to Roseanne Casimir, the chief of the Kamloops band, and even though their own council meetings aren't open to us, we can get a hold of her almost all the time, and she'll talk to us about anything. TNRD, they were under a whole bunch of heat because of our story on the spending there, Jessica Wallace's story. And you would think they were under more heat than anyone I've ever covered before. But Ken Gillis, the chair, and the CAO, the new CAO, Scott Hildebrand, are always right there talking to us during this flooding and the fires. You can't not get a hold of them. Mm-hmm. They're always telling you stuff. And in any case, if there's sensitive issues that are legal, all these people, Christian, Casimir, Gillis, they'll say, hey, I'd like to, but I can't talk to you about this because of this and this. And they'll explain why, but then they'll answer our questions. Mm-hmm. TRU is the only institution where we cannot get an interview with anybody.
We're just getting releases.
It's statement. Yeah. It's governance by statements. And we've asked repeatedly, we want to ask the president some questions regarding the investigation. Has nothing to do with privacy, nothing to do with the people accused, nothing to do about the accusers. We want to know certain things, like why, when employees are fired, are they compelled to sign non-disclosure agreements? Why is that happening? Why are people fired and not told why they're fired? And why are people getting fired when, within months of being recommended and having, letters of praise giving to them for their good job? And why, when we talk to some of these complainants and they're in tears because they lost their jobs, and the biggest thing is they don't know why. No one tells them why, mm-hmm. and then they have to sign a deal saying they can't talk about it. Like, just why is that happening? And they won't answer any of these questions. Mm-hmm. None of them. Now, there are people at the university who are great, who are public spokespeople. Michelle Young, former Kamloops Daily News reporter, but she sends out tons of information on neat stuff they're doing, research, great stories going on at the university, and that's excellent. But where I'm talking about the brass, the people who run the university, they should be answering these questions that 85 people marching want answered, and they won't even talk to the local media, even to say, I can't talk to you. Instead, it's statement, 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 and you can't get any answers out of them, and it's really, really sad, actually.
Well, we'll keep following that story, and we will get some answers from Tyrell Hamer-Jackson in our next segment, The Title of Hastings. There he is right there, face-off specialist for the Vancouver Warriors. It's a dream come true for him. It's a dream that started in Kamloops when he was a young boy. We covered him back in the day, and the dream almost didn't work out. He quit the game, and then he decided, you know what, I want to give it one last shot. He lost about 40 pounds. He started playing for the Salmon Bellies, and then lo and behold, his phone rings. Their face-off man, the Warriors, goes down Tugboat Tyrell is up next. And then he achieves his dream. That was February 2020. That date should ring a bell for you because March 2020, the pandemic comes.
That's right, 1 month.
After 2 games, his season is over, and the next season got canceled, and now he's finally playing again. The Warriors won on the weekend. He had a good day in the face-offs, and he joins us now. Tugboat Tyrell Hamer Jackson.
Boys, how are you? Can you hear me all right?
Oh, are you actually in a tug right now?
Yeah, I'm working.
Are you in Newsminster?
No, I'm in Burnaby. We're heading to the harbor later.
Let's start with your social media. At what point did you start blowing up?
I think it was during COVID. I was at home and we had nothing to do. I had a bunch of videos on my phone, and I signed up for TikTok and threw a bunch of stuff on there and woke up overnight and there was like, I don't know, I looked at a video, it had over 500,000 views, and I went upstairs, showed my mom, and I was asking her if this is real or not, and yeah, every video from there, just people are pretty interested in it. It's some different stuff, so.
What kind of stuff, gets the most views?
Now, I don't know, like a lot of it does, but like a lot of the stuff is when people don't really know what's going on, or there's like just raw audio. Sometimes when you try a little too hard, it doesn't get as many views, but when you just show what you're doing, then it usually pops off.
Well, you're also out there doing some pretty crazy stuff on the water, like running on the logs, and you've seen some wildlife too out there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every day's a little different than your guys' day, I think. So you see some stuff that kind of becomes normal to you that isn't to other people, but it's...
I'm a huge Dire Straits fan, and the Money for Nothing one, I watched it like 30 times. Foulds didn't really get it, but...
Well, I was waiting for more to come on there. I thought you were going to pull it to the harbor.
He just had the shirt off and the sunglasses. That was enough for me. What made you do that one?
Me and my captain here are just laughing about that right now. He gave me the wheel. He was kind of hanging out, having a little rest in the back, and my favorite song came on, so I started to record myself, and I had that video on my phone for about a year, and then I don't know, I was just sitting at home and threw it up online, and then a bunch of people started commenting on it, and yeah, if you look at the comments on that, it's pretty funny.
So you gave it one more shot in lacrosse, and it's kind of paid off for you. What made you decide to give it one more go?
I don't know, man. I thought I owed it to myself to get the best fitness that I've had and kind of get back in the game, and I don't know, I felt like I owed it to myself. I didn't really give myself much of a good shot, so I went back and put the gas down to the floor and said, hey, let's see what we can do with it, and here we are. So still got lots of work to do, but
what was the toughest part about realizing that dream and then having it snatched away by the pandemic?
Not really a tough part. It was just like I say, it's just more time to get ready. Like I was just getting into the league, and then I got a taste of it, and now I had 2 years to work out, and then we hit training camp, and yeah, I don't know, man. I just kept working hard, and I got a taste of it, and now that's where I want to be, and I want to hang out there. So.
Last week I interviewed you, and we had a good chat, but you saved your best for last. I just asked you how old you were.
Okay, cool. How old are you now?
I am 26.
26.
Yeah,
right on.
26, 26 and bulletproof.
Well, you saved your quote of the interview for the last line. Okay.
Okay, buddy. Have a good one.
At the end of the interview, you're like, I'm 26 and bulletproof. I mean, is that what you feel like right now? Is your life just in a stage where you feel like you couldn't be doing any better?
No, I was just kidding, but like I say that because I mean you got to be a little bit bulletproof or feel bulletproof at 5'6", especially in that league. You got guys over 6. Like our biggest player on our team, 6'10". Like it comes a lot from you just got to find it and act big or play big, right? So sorry, the sun's getting in here, but
yeah, your head was in a good spot earlier there.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, are you have you always been kind of a hard hat, work boots, lunch pail kind of guy? Now you're working on a tugboat as a deckhand. You're built like a tugboat. It just seems like everything fits.
No, I actually used to work for my dad, Reed Hamer Jackson, at his car dealership for quite some time, and always helped him out. And I never really cared to work. And then I came down here and lived in Vancouver and realized, man, you got to find a job and got to make some good money to be able to do stuff down here. So.
Can we skip to the good part?
I think you said you make like 16 grand in the first year of your contract, and then 18 grand, something like that, playing lacrosse. I'm guessing you make a lot more doing your work as a deckhand. What's the draw to doing what you do?
This comes back to what everyone says. Like, you don't play the game for the money. Like, you're obviously playing it because you love it. Like, you're coming back home, you get beat up every weekend. But yeah, honestly, I love the game. I love the boys. Love our coaches, our management, and it's a great game, and it's something I kind of need in my life. So I'm gonna stick to it here.
All right. Anything else you wanted to add before we let you go?
That's all good, boys. Just have a good day and stay safe out there. That's all.
All right.
You
Stay
too.
bulletproof. Take it easy.
See ya.
Thanks, boys. Cheers.
All right. Any thoughts on the Hamer Jackson interview?
I think it's neat that a Kamloops kid ends up working on the tugboats, on the beachcombers down on the coast. It's neat. It's really neat.
And
it's different. So different. Yeah.
And the show itself today, good show today.
Yeah.
We had a new commercial from Herman, so get on down there. We had Mike and Bonnie again doing their thing at the helm. Thanks again. You guys do a great job.
Yep.
I think that's it for us.
Thank you.
We'll see you last week.